Is this how Alperen Sengun is moving this season?
Carrying him. And look at Sengun just take over!
Alperen Sengun just turned 23 years old a month ago, and whilst on the surface, it looks like he had a slightly disappointing season, with his scoring and efficiency taking a major hit from year 3 to year 4, what you won't realize from looking at just the box score is the defensive improvement he made, going from someone who some people considered a defensive liability to a legitimately good defender on a top 5 defense. And with the way he's moving in Eurobasket, it would be frightening if Alpi compared the defensive leap he had last year with the offensive season he had the year prior. And for a team that already has Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., and just added Kevin Durant, I don't think we want to see an even better version of Alperen Sengun. But I think it's almost inevitable, because I just mentioned it then, but not only is Alpi going to be a year older this season, but he now has Kevin Durant next to him. He now has a better version of Amen Thompson. He has more shooting, and he has more defense around him. And KD has always been a big fan of Alpi. And I just don't think we can underrate how great this partnership could be. I know KD is older and he's not in his prime, but guys, he just averaged nearly 27 points a game, shooting 52% from the field and 43% from 3. You want to talk about adding spacing, adding scoring, adding playmaking, and just an absolutely perfect fit for your all-star center, there is almost no one better than Kevin Durant. And you do all of this whilst getting rid of the guy who, no offense to Jalen Green, was clearly holding back the Rockets and potentially Sengun as well. And just speaking to the chemistry they could have, I mean, talking about chemistry and Kevin Durant is almost a waste of time. Well, on the court at least, because from an on-court perspective, there's not a single player in NBA history who Kevin Durant doesn't fit next to. And this version of KD, you could argue more so than ever, with his level of polish and his shooting being as good as it's ever been. And I know it's simple, but the shooting is going to be huge, because whilst the Rockets had obviously gotten better, and particularly defensively the last few years around Sengun, their spacing hadn't, with Sengun effectively being surrounded by 3 streaky shooters and a non-shooter in Amen Thompson. And I won't say this was the whole reason for Alpi's inefficiency offensively, because some of that was his own doing, but it certainly didn't help. Because despite having a great season, Houston were a bottom 10 team for 3-point percentage, and they've been a bottom 10 team every year of his career. Kevin Durant solves a lot of those problems. And now all of a sudden, when you look at the outside shooting of KD, Fred, and hopefully an even better Jabari Smith Jr., it not only frees up Sengun, but it frees up Amen as well. And it also gives the Rockets a very similar blueprint to what won the Nuggets a championship in 2023. And this is just talking about the team dynamics. How about the fact he's only entering year 5? How about the fact he looks fitter, he looks faster, he looks more athletic than ever before, and this is only the offensive side of the floor. What I haven't mentioned is Alperen Sengun was an all-star last season in large part due to what he did on the defensive end. Because if you were to actually look at his stats from last year to this year, he averaged less points and shot worse from the field and from 3. But he made up for that and more with what he did on the defensive end of the floor. And the numbers back that up as well, with the Rockets going from the 3rd best defense with Alpi on the floor to the 13th ranked defense with him off the floor. And I still don't think this gets talked about enough. Sengun went from being benched during games because of his defense to being a key member of an elite defensive team, and the Rockets being significantly better when he was on the floor versus off the floor in the span of 1 year. If someone went from averaging 15 points a game to 25 a game, it would be talked about non-stop. But Sengun went from someone people considered a defensive liability to a genuinely impactful defender. I mean, just look at this play from Alpi, where he's initially at the level to guard Steph. He rotates back out to Pods, doing a good job to use his body to keep Pods from the basket, but with the help from Brooks, watch Alpi then slide over to Jimmy and block the shot. That is incredibly impressive movement from a 7-footer. Or look at this play, which just shows more of Alpi's improved lateral movement. Wiggins gets the screen about 30 feet from the basket, and look at him shuffle his feet, mirroring Wiggins before then using his big chest to absorb the hit, and with him stumbling down, he gets blocked. That improved lateral ability you saw show up so often throughout the year when he had to guard smaller players or wings, or when he was a roamer, which Ime Udoka talked about. Alperen kind of being a roamer, coming across to help has helped him as well, not just being a traditional 2-on-1 situation in a pick and roll. He's been so much better from last year, and he showed steps last year. And if there's one thing about Ime Udoka, he doesn't just make statements like these. He will speak the truth, so you can rest assured if he is saying this, he believes this. And it showed up when he was playing Alperen down the stretch of games, as opposed to last year when he missed so many fourth quarters for defensive purposes. And just like on offense, I think he could go to an even different level this year, because whilst everyone will highlight KD's seamless impact on the offense of the team, defensively, he can also have a massive impact. Kevin Durant doesn't get talked about for his defense, and that's probably because he averages 27 points a game on 50, 40, 90 every single year, but he is 7 foot, he is a great weak side rim protector, he slides his feet, he is smart, he rebounds. He is going to be a welcome addition to the Rockets defense that was already great. And then what could happen to Amen Thompson, who has another year to get even better? Jabari Smith Jr. took strides defensively, and this is without mentioning the Jalen Green side of things. Again, I'm not trying to slander him, but just look at these numbers. It is insane. With both Sengun and Green on the floor, the Rockets were a good team. Not great, but good. But when Alpi was on the floor without Green, they were the best defense in the league by a mile and one of the best teams of all time. And I'm not going to bore you with more numbers, but it's also worth mentioning the Rockets were even better when Alpi was sharing the floor with Steven Adams. A much more limited sample, but in the sample we have of Stevo and Alpi together, the Rockets were pretty much a cheat code, and Alpi recognized that as well.
Zaten sezonun sonuna doğru double big line'e getirince hem benim işimi kolaylaştırdı biraz daha, çünkü hem o benim performansını daha çok yükseltti iki uzunla oynamak. Hem de dediğim gibi hem hücum hem savunmaya enerjim kaldı o yüzden.
And this again comes back to that improved athleticism, that improved movement, and his unique skill set that allows a guy like Steven Adams, or now Clint Capella, to thrive along Sengun because of what Sengun can do both defensively and then, offensively. Do we even need to talk about his playmaking? I think that has been clear since he entered the league. That not only can he make every single pass, but when you put him on the block, he will draw two defenders, he will find the open shooter, he will find the cutter in Amen Thompson. There is not a pass Alperen Sengun can't make, and I think there is still another level for him to go to as a passer, as well as a playmaker, as an offensive hub, and I think we are starting to see the signs of what that could look like in Eurobasket, where so far he is looking elite. And on a new look Rockets team, I'm kind of scared to see just how good he could really be.